Hello and welcome to Art Conspiracy. In this short video, I am going to talk to you about drawing ears. Of all the many challenges with drawing humans and human anatomy, ears are high on the list of things that strike fear into the heart of my students. And they don't need to. You can make peace with doing ears. You just got to take it on and simplify. But we're going to give you a little short lesson on how to draw ears. So let's get started. So my mentor and teacher, he used to he used to point to an ear in one of my drawings or paintings and say, "What is that? The map of Ireland?" And I always thought that was pretty funny because I was trying to fake it, and I actually looked up the map of Ireland, and you know what? It kind of looks like an ear. So he had a point. But anyway, ears are awesome. They are not to be avoided. Ears are such a great part of the human head. Now, don't look at the face. I know he's got a great face, but look at these ears. These ears are, you can't not have the ears, right? I mean, that would look pretty silly. Ears are not just interesting, I think, from an anatomical standpoint, but they're also a lot about the character of the head too. Look at this lady. She's got nice long ears. You know, your ears can keep growing when you get older, which I think is really great, long after other parts have stopped growing. Little factoid there. Anyway, here's some ears. Look at this. These ears are great. These ears are great. And we're going to break it down. And I'm going to give you some lessons. Now, here the ears are kind of soft focused, which is a nice little touch. But they stick out. Let them stick out. And not all ears stick out. Some are, more than others. But we're going to take the ears on right now. But I'm not going to make you draw this. This is a Ferengi. Anyway, or look at this. Look at the ear on this guy. We're going to stick with humans, but we're going to basically take on 3 different positions, and I'm going to show you. Here's straight on. And even though you don't see a lot of the ear, it's still important to understand the structure and enough, to satisfy the viewer and to give it enough weight and volume that, it really counts, okay? A little bit to the side, you see more of the ear. And then we're going to work up to the profile view where you see a whole bunch of the ear. This is where students really panic. This is where they start putting the hair in front, they put the ski hat on, and they just try to get away with avoiding it altogether, which you cannot do. So let me do a little drawing lesson. Let me show you here. Okay. So simply, let's talk about the location of the ear first. So there's basically the location of the ear, the size of the ear, and the shape of the ear, and then the particulars. Okay, location, size, shape, particulars. And I'm going to break that down. So here we have a human head, which is an egg. Very simply, here's the eyes in the middle. Here's the nose. Okay, here's the brow above the eye line. Okay, very, very simple. Now, with your standard human head, the ear is going to start lined up at the bottom of the nose. Okay, down there. And in an arc from the brow. Okay, or kind of at the eye, which is another way of looking at it, okay? But it's right about here. Now, I want you to take note of something. Here's where the ear stops, right? But it's lower because you have a flap on your ear, right? And then you have a C shape. Look at that. Now, this part can be attached like this, or it can be one of these, which is a detached earlobe. Okay, either way. But if you just draw this little C shape, going out at an angle for the most part, and then draw another line here, makes it look a little thicker, really exaggerating. Okay, anyway, that's a great start. And if you have 2 ears, they usually line up. So use your symmetry to find the other ear. But that's your typical ear from the front. Okay. So now you got your head is starting to turn in space. Here's the center line. Here's your eyes. Here's your nose. Okay. And same idea. The ear is going to start way over here. And the eyebrows here. So maybe here's the top of the ear, a C shape. And then I'd make it a little bit thick on the side. Nice. And in this shape, you get a little bit more skull. But that's the location, okay, which is great. And then in a profile, which is a little bit more tricky, okay, let's think of it this way. Here's the ball, here's the face. Made him a little bit smaller. Okay, here's his nose. Here's the face. Oops, kind of in the middle of the circle. That ear is going to be behind the center line, okay? Behind the jaw. This is very important. Here it is too. That ear hangs behind the jaw, behind the jaw. That's the location. And it's a C shape. Again, with that little thick, already started. Now, another way to look at this quickly, because our figures are not always going to be looking right at us or turning perfectly. Location of the ear. If your eyes and your nose rotate down, this figure's looking down, then the ear-nose relationship changes, and here's the ear up high. If the figure's looking up, here's the nose, this ear is going to be low. Here's the mouth, okay? And then you got this weird thing with the neck, but don't worry about that, okay? But just know that that ear-nose rotation is really important. And if the figure starts to turn, like looking up, okay, here's a figure looking up, that ear-nose relationship is still across, the ear is lower, but it still relates. Oops, get the jaw in front of the ear, okay? Don't want that to stand, okay? Or let's do another one. This one's looking down. Let's say, I'm gonna just play. Here's a face looking down. That ear nose, here's the ear riding high, but still relates to the nose and the brow. So the ear-nose relationship is very, very important. So that's basically where the ear is located. So then let's talk about, well, I talked about location and size. And then, so shape. So let's use this girl, for example, okay? And we're just gonna really make this simple. Okay, you got your egg, you got your main features, your big features, okay? Now you're gonna locate, now in this case, her ear is much higher, partly because they're little, and she's also rotated down just a tiny bit. But we always start with the standard and then we deviate. So, okay, here's her eye. So that ear is up here. I found the bottom. And then I'm looking, here's her brow. The ear is a little higher. So I locate, and then I have the size, and then I have the shape. And in this case, it's still just a C shape with a little thickness. That's great. That much is going to really serve you, okay? And then, of course, symmetry, unless their ears are lopsided, which is pretty rare, okay? And I'm going to talk about the particulars later, but that's the location. That's fabulous right there, okay? Here's one, it's a little bit more on the side. So we got her head, got her eyes. She's looking pretty just right off to the side. Again, I look for the ear nose right away. It's a little bit higher. I know the jaw is in front of it. Locate, there's the ear. Okay, this one's a little sharp. It's a cute little bugger. It's just a C shape. No problem, make it stick out. Put a little thick on the top part. Look at that. Okay, we're gonna revisit this, okay? Now we got, let's do, whoops. Let's do this guy. Oh, sideways. We got a whole bunch of, okay, remember what I talked about? Here's the face. So let's put the ear behind. There's the jaw. Look, look, look. Whoop. I did not steer you wrong. That jaw is in front. And then look at the ear nose. It's almost lined up. Look at that. Pretty nice, huh? Like this guy. Got a great shape to his head. Anyway, but there's his ear. A C shape. I located it. It's the right size. And then I'm going to put it on as a C shape. And you can see here's a more narrow C. This one is a more shallow C. And then by the time you get to the profile, you get a big fat C. But they're all variations of a C. Okay. Now, your standard ear, you know, hide everything. Your standard ear is let's do the shallow one. Here's a C. Here's a bigger C. That's pretty big. And here's like the profile C. Got really big C. Okay. So here's from the side of the face, that thick line. Remember I told you about that? Then you can put another line here and another C. Just put another C in there. And then there's a little bump. I don't know how else to put it. It's darker at the bottom. Look at that. It's there. Simple. So C, line thickness, another one coming down, little C, and then this little bump. Okay, here's this one. Let's say this here's a detached earlobe. Okay, thicker. Okay, good, thick. And then come down, maybe another C, a secondary C, and they're not all the same. So you don't have to worry. As long as you get it in the ballpark, it's going to look like an ear. You know, some ears got other little lines and folds. Every ear is different. But that's pretty good. And then it's going to be darkest right in that hole. Got it? That's something to know. And there's a shadow right here where this is thick. Okay. Here's another big C. And sometimes I actually do it more geometrically. And then I smooth it out a little bit. Anyway, there's that thick line, the top, the jaws in front, the jaws in front, the jaws in front. Line coming down. Here's a secondary C shape. Excellent. This guy's got pretty curvy ears, but there you go. Very, very good. Okay, now let's talk about particulars. So we got location, we got size, we got simplicity. C, some version of C. I'm making it really tiny C, extra thick. Another line, another C right there inside, and then a little boop, boop, little kidney bean. Oh, you got it. Okay, so let's go back to this lady. In terms of the particulars, okay? She's got a fairly flat, I mean, this is like if you're doing a portrait of this particular ear. It's fairly flat. Here's that line coming down. This comes in front. This is coming down. And then you got a little C, and then there's her little bump. And then you can finesse it with the shading, but it's an ear. Close enough, right? Earness. Okay, what's the second one? Okay, we got this one. We already got the basic shape. This actually points out a little bit. It's got a little bit more character. Okay, thick part, and then go down. It's hard to see. There's a whole bunch of information. Her hair's in her way, but now you know what to do. You don't need the photograph, right? You know, because I told you, Amy said, put another C, put a little bump in here. Look at that. Ear. It's an ear. Eureka. And you can do some shading. And I mean, you can sort of hide it if you want to a little bit, but you can't. You got to have the right shape and location and size, and just to satisfy our brains, because we're going to know if you're faking it, right? So take it on. Okay, so that's her ear. And then last but not least, we got this dude. Oh, it's the wrong guy. There he is. Okay, now he said, look how complicated this looks, but you're not going to do it that way. You're just going to do what I said. Okay, anything, any particulars? This is a little bit flatter. He's got a little pointy. Again, if you want to do a portrait of this ear, but you probably don't care. But anyway, then I'm going to bring that line coming down. And then I do another little C shape. And then I might think about what his particular ear is doing. Whoops, kind of goofed up. And like this curls in and this here. And you can get all convoluted and do the extra features, but the truth is not really necessary. You know, just keep it simple. So I think that's it. Did I cover everything? Pretty sure I did. So take it on. Practice ears. Do 50 ears from all different positions. And then you won't ever cringe or like freak out when you have to do an ear. Just remember the steps. See? Extra line for thickness right there. Another line, little C, a little bump. You got it. Okay, that's it from our conspiracy. Also, I have a couple of new classes coming up. And I will put the link down below in the comments. Okay. See you later, alligator.